Zoom on YouTube. So good evening, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so grateful that we're all here. And we're we're studying the psychotherapy pamphlet from A Course in Miracles. And just now we're getting up to this next paragraph that we have to read is one of my favorite of everything in the whole book. So I always say that, I know, but I think it's going to be cool. So I think maybe, Karen, could I ask you to pray us in?
Sure. Everybody take a breath, relax, and remember who's in charge. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. Don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. So
Right.
let us take a look at our text from the psychotherapy. And I would like to see if someone would like to read paragraph 6. We're in the practice of psychotherapy. Is psychotherapy a profession? And we're on paragraph 6.
I'll read it.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, Rafi.
It is in the instant that the therapist forgets to judge the patient that healing occurs. In some relationships, this point is never reached, although both patient and therapist may change their dreams in the process. Yet it will not be the same dream for both of them, and so it is not the dream of forgiveness, in which both will someday wake. Fingers crossed. The good is saved, indeed is cherished, but only little time is saved. The new dreams will lose their temporary appeal and turn to dreams of fear, which is the content of all dreams. Yet no patient can accept more than he is ready to receive, and no therapist can offer more than he believes he has. And so there is a place for all relationships in this world, and they will bring us much good as each can accept and use.
Did you want to share anything?
Well, I think it's obvious that everyone is serving each other if you're paying attention. And that if you give in to the dream, you got to be in fear. And if you know that everything is here to wake you up from the dream, then fear just becomes another feeling that you can let go of and get back into the reality of the harmony.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, so it's the instant that the therapist forgets to judge the patient that healing occurs. It's the instant the doctor stops judging. It's the instant I stop judging that the healing actually occurs. But it's hard to get to that, and that's what he's talking about, because we all have a separate dream. We don't share a dream, and who you think I am and who I think I am are two different people, and who I think you are and who you think you are and the world thinks you are, they're two different people. They're not the same people. So we work around each other in the dreams. We dance around each other in the dreams, and we affect each other in the dance, in the dreams, but we're both dreaming our own dream. So the things that when we come together and those things bring about love and forgiveness and joy and peace, the things that happen when we have a great conversation or a great relationship or a great, whatever, together, when that happens, then the love that's established at that point in the relationship is forever and will never, ever, ever be lost or changed. Even if you change your mind about me and I change my mind about you, and I decide you're annoying and you decide that I'm ridiculous, and we fight and argue, but then later we come together again because we're like moths to the flame. We're bound together in this world. Even if it doesn't seem like it, we're bound together in this world. And so as we have these relationship, and some relationship may be for a lifetime, some may be for a minute, but we have these relationships that we we get better and higher and more peaceful as we go along, as long as we continue to do the work, to do the dance. But sometimes my partner dances too fast. Sometimes my partner dances too slow. And maybe I need a different partner, or a different person to deal with or to work with. But my slow partner from the past may speed up and become my fast partner in the future. Um, these things go on through your lifetime, and people that are, you have friends, you have relationship, you have, even if you're married, in my marriage, I've gone through all of that, all the changes, all the shifts, all the differences, and every single time uh, we come together, we may be angry with each other for a while, a month, a year, 5 years. We may we may hold judgments and grudges against each other. Um, but then, one day you may look at them and remember that you love them, and remember that thing that was the thing that brought you together in the first place and held you together in the first place. And that's the thing that's permanently there. So it's you know it's how our relationships actually become the holy relationship. And if we can accept it and we can use it, and once we start doing this work, this whole course is about relationship. The entire course is about relationship. So as we go through and we're I mean, it's so in this world today, it's like, we like, well, forget you, and I don't want to have a relationship with you anymore, and you're not my friend, and I don't like you, and there's more. Back in the olden days, you were like in a town or a village or an area where these are the people you're going to see every day, and or once a year or twice a year. You're not going to get away from them. But in this world today, we can get away from the relationships that we don't like, and so many of us just give up on a relationship and don't let it go through this bouncing and dancing and maturing thing. And we're being encouraged, I believe, to use the relationship if you got it. Use it squeeze it dry for everything that you can get out of it, because you've got a forgiveness opportunity right here, that there's no order of difficulty in miracles. So it's as important as if you were, it's the most beneficial thing you could have at all, at a time. Those are just things that are coming to me, because I'm realizing that uh, we're in it for the long run together. And it's whose dog is that? Is that Happy making that noise?
Yep.
Oh, sweet. Anyway, enough of that. Rafi, please go ahead, and then Karen.
You know, what came to me is not from this, but a while ago, is that we have this private us where we are at home and we act this way at home and we do this at home. And then there's the public us when we go out in public and interact with people. And that person is a little different than the one that is by yourself at home. If you get to the point where you're coming from all loving, then there's no difference between the private you and the public you, the so-called private you and the public you. And yes, I know this is all going on in the illusion, but it's serving us anyway perfectly. There's no difference between the private you and the public you. It's just, everything is coming from that being all loving, loving all equally. Then any sort of conflict will dissolve immediately because it takes two to make a conflict. And if you're coming from all love, then there's no two sides to that. And the conflict dissolves. I've seen it happen so many times. The conflict dissolves immediately. If there's some person who has, I don't know, something about you that they don't like or they're afraid of or that turns them off, and they run away from you every time they see you, that's fine. That doesn't stop you from loving. It doesn't stop me from loving them. And if you keep coming from that place, conflicts that might happen don't happen, and conflicts that start to happen dissolve immediately. Anyhow, that's what I've experienced. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Rafi. That is quite absolutely true as well. And I think you're maybe being a little um I don't even know what what to say, because there's more than one me. There's more than two me. There's more than three me. There's a me that is with my sister. There's a me that's with there's a different me with everybody and in every situation, because the me I am is not a constant. And you're right. It's only when the me you are is a constant that you're going to act, you're going to do the same reaction in every situation, no matter what. And I think that's what this is driving us to, is to come to that place where we're in just total non-judgment. So thank you for that, Rafi. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Rafi. And to add to what Rafi was saying too, I think for me, I also now see conflict or attack as a call for love, where before I couldn't see that, you know? And I think that's the big change when we change our perception and we come from a place of love. So that's why the conflict dissolves, because we don't see it as conflict when we're in that space, when we're in that loving space. And I love what Lynn shared too about the relationships, and that, you know, we're here to learn lessons. Like our relationships they're our classrooms to learn the lessons that we came to learn. And I loved what you said about opportunities for forgiveness. And, you know, that's something that I'm also learning, because rather than give up on a relationship or a marriage or, you know, a friendship, that it's an opportunity to heal it now than to have to come back and go through it again, you know, which I do believe in reincarnation, but yeah, so heal it now. This is the opportunity to heal now, not run away. And the other thing that I got out of this paragraph was where he says, well, of course I mean, it is in the instant that the therapist forgets to judge the patient that healing occurs. And, you know, when the therapist forgets to judge the patient, you know, he has forgotten to judge himself. Projection makes perception. So, you know, when my mind is healed, the world is healed. So we're both healed. You know, it's like a healing is to give and to receive our one. We're both healed in that instant. when we're seeing, like Rafi was saying, we're the same. We are the same. There's no differences. And then the other thing that came to me was where he talks about the good is saved, indeed is cherished, sentence 4. And it reminds me of where he says that all your past except its beauty is gone and nothing is left but a blessing, that he saved all the loving thoughts we ever had. So all the good is saved. And that's the only truth, and anything else that we see is our own interpretation of something that we're just not ready to look. We're just too afraid of the love, is what it comes down to. We're just too afraid of the love. And when it's either fear or love. That's all it is. It's fear or love. And when I can notice that I'm in fear, I can ask to see it differently. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's in the dream. That's what we have to keep remembering. This is happening in the dream, and no one is really doing anything. So it's much easier to forgive if you recognize that. Rico, please go ahead.
Good evening, family and friends. I send you love and light from my heart to yours. Thank you for letting me be here with you. There's one part of this, Lynn, that really stands out for me personally and helps me with some things I've been going back and forth with. And that's the part that says, yet no patient can accept more than he is ready to receive. And no therapist can offer more than he believes he has. So for me, this clears up with me to live in an awakened state most of the time. I know I'm going to be human sometime, but most of the time. If I don't really believe that the infinite is going to allow me to live in that awakened state, I'm not going to get there. But the other part is I surround myself with people who are either already there or have been on the way there for a while. So I got a chance. And I'm looking at this a little selfishly about me, but this really lights me up right there in those two sentences and makes it come alive for me and everything I've been trying to do with you guys. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rico. And yeah, I'm glad you pointed that sentence out because I noticed that as well, that no patient can accept more than he's ready to receive. No therapist can offer more than he believes he has. And that's, I think, the problem that most of us have is that we don't really believe that we're capable of doing what Jesus is telling us we can do, or that we're being asked to do. We don't believe that we're capable of doing what we're being asked to do. And then, of course, we don't, on the other hand, we don't think that we're worthy of all this goodness either. And I think that's why no patient can accept more than he's ready to receive. Because if you don't feel like you're worthy to receive that, then you're going to resist it. And so, neither one of these are helpful, but they're temporary too. And they're just a thought. They're just a state of mind. They're just a feeling, and it will change, as Regis was saying earlier today. So this is the good news, is that that may be the situation, but we're not stuck. We're not stuck.
Lynn, even with coming in with the low self-esteem, everything I've read so far, and with ACIM, and what I hear you guys telling me, who I am and what I am and why I am, that self-esteem starts to that low self-esteem starts to dissipate just based on the consistent repetition of you guys telling me who I am. It don't matter what I believe, who and what I am. And that starts to sink in more than the low self-esteem. At least it has for me.
Yeah, that's yeah, and it's real easy to think that we're lying to you. I know. Because I've had the same thing myself. You know, that's pretty low when somebody's telling you how great they think you are, to think you must be, you must not be all there. Because if you saw how I really was, you would not be saying that. And that's honestly, that's just how the ego protects itself. But the truth is that we're all holy. We're all holy. There's not a single one of us that is not this amazing creation. And so, you know, it's kind of an insult to God to say I'm not. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I have to laugh about that because I'm the mea culpa here. I do the same thing. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to share about this? Just all comes down to who do you think you are to judge? Who do I think I am to judge? Yeah. And who do I think you are to judge you? I must not know. So paragraph 7, who'd like to read paragraph 7?
I'll read it because it
Thank you.
reminds me of Karen. It's always here in my mind. I always hear saying this. Yet, paragraph 7, yet it is when judgment ceases that healing occurs. That just stops me in my track. I love that sentence. Yet it is when judgment ceases that healing occurs, because only then it can be understood that there are no order of difficulty in healing. This is a necessary understanding for the healed healer. And I like the way they say the healed healer, because I've worked for several years in the discipline that there were a lot of broken healers trying to help people heal, and it just doesn't happen. He has learned that there is no harder to wake a brother than one dream that from another. No professional therapist can hold this understanding consistently in his mind, offering it to all who have come very close, but they have not accepted the gift entirely in order to stay and let their understanding remain on earth until the closing of time. They could hardly be called professional therapists. They are the saints of God. They are the saviors of the world. Their image remains because they have chosen that it be so. They take the place of other images and help with kindly dreams. Kindly dreams. I like kindly dreams. You know, this I've worked 30 some odd years with a lot of therapists who have had their own issues. This is in real life, my professional career. And they're very good therapists as far as being good people. They're meaning well, but they have a lot of unresolved personal stuff. And it's like broken healers have a difficult time trying to help sick people heal because their unresolved issues. This is my experience. I don't know if this is a fact, but I've witnessed this myself over long periods of time. And I was in charge of them, so I had to pay close attention to them. They their issues tend to come out into the interaction with the patient, and it's not always good results. And in my opinion, that's been my experience. So this is an interesting paragraph for me. It gives me what I hear Karen saying all the time about judgment, and it ends up with letting me look back, even though there's no past, on my past career and what I've witnessed about healing therapists. So it's very interesting for me. Anyway, that's enough out of me. I love you.
Thank you, Rico. Does anybody else have any observations on this paragraph? I know the first part was kind of talking about the unhealed healer. But then on sentence 5, though, he says there's some people in this world that have come very close, but they haven't accepted the gift entirely in order to stay and let their understanding remain on earth until the closing of time. And so who are those people who could have gone straight straight to heaven, whatever, but instead of doing that, they decided to stay here and help us out. Well, we don't know any of those. We definitely know Jesus did that very thing. He came here and hung out here until um, they did away with him because he wanted to help us. So, but there are some people who I believe in this world, and this Jesus is telling us this right here. There are some people in this world who have transcended the dream and are still here, though. And they remain here as in image in being because they choose to be here. And they take the place of other images and help with kindly dreams. So there's I think he's talking about somebody, but and you may have a thing. It might be, oh, I think it's Keith Kavanaugh, or I think it's Ramana Maharshi, or I think it's Ken Wapnick. I think Ken Wapnick could have left a long time before he did. I think he stayed as long as he felt like we needed him. And I think that the time for him to leave was the time when things had been settled from the lawsuit and all that business. I don't know exactly um, how that all. I mean, I think that uh, he stayed until he wasn't needed anymore. And it was time for a new group of people to be the voice of A Course in Miracles. So, but if he had had to stay, I think he would have done it, cancer or not. But that's my thoughts. Let's see, Rico and then Rafi. Go ahead, Rico.
Yeah, just real quick, Rafi. Lynn, the question you asked, there are some in this world who come very close, again, professionally and personally, in my professional life. Those that have come very close, I'm looking back with the face of the non-dual Course in Miracles I'm looking back, have been those in my personal life that have refused to invite the divine third into the healing relationship. And this is just a personal experiences I've had over a span of 35 years. That just would not, it was only me and the patient. It was never the three of us together. And those are the ones I think who came close because they were very scholarly, they were very crafty, they were good at their craft, but they would just never accept inviting in the divine third. And that three of us being that healing relationship, they were never able to do that. And it's not because they were bad people, because they were good people. They were sharp people, but just would never accept inviting the divine third into the session. Just a comment on who those people were.
Thank you. Thank you, Rico. Rafi, please go ahead.
Lester Levinson used to say the reason why not more people transcend, become enlightened, self-realization, whatever term you want to use it. He said it's because you're afraid you're going to lose this body that you identify with, you're going to die. And he said, I've been here for 40 years. I mean, he became realized 40 years, and I'm still here I'm still here talking to you. Don't you get it? Once you realize you can do anything. If you want to stay in your body, stay in your body. If you want to create 17 more bodies, you can do that too. If you want to go live on another planet and still be here at the same time, you can. Once you become infinite, there is limitations that are all mental vanish. There's no such thing. And then he said, but he said, is that fear? And I acknowledged that I had it myself. Only what showed up in my life was you're afraid of being really, really rich and really, really successful because you're afraid you're going to die. And that was the same thing as you're afraid you're going to transcend, to become self-realized because you're going to die. And when I put the two of them together, I went, it's the same thing. It's the same feeling. It's the same concept, that mental concept. So I worked on getting rid of that, and I'm still releasing a great deal of it and letting it dissolve and evaporate. But if it wasn't for the fact that we are afraid that something terrible is going to happen to us if we actually become totally self-realized, it would happen to more of us quicker.
I think I pretty much agree with that. I think you're right about that, Rafi. Does anybody else have anything about this paragraph? Yes, Karen, please.
Yeah, I love what everybody's sharing tonight. And yeah, I do love this first sentence here when it says, yet it is when judgment ceases that healing occurs, because only then can it be understood that there is no order of difficulty in healing. So that's realizing that every problem is the same, that every problem is the same. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. There is no hierarchy of illusions. There is one problem, the belief that I separated from God. And what Rico said about accepting the divine third, if I'm not bringing the Holy Spirit into my relationship, then it's doomed. It's doomed. And that's in every relationship, because I know for me, that was my biggest downfall in every relationship I ever had that failed, was I did not ask. I thought I knew what the problem was, and I didn't know because I didn't ask, and I was wrong, and the ego was always wrong. So it's really remembering that, we don't know anything, and there's no order of difficulty in miracles. And that's why it's no harder to wake a brother from one dream than another, because every problem is the same, every dream is the same, and we think we're separate. And when the minute that the therapist forgets to judge the patient, that we are one, that's everything. That brings the healing right there, because we recognize that it's the healing undoes the separation. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to share? All right, let's look at paragraph 8 then. Who would like to read paragraph 8? Karen, go ahead. I wasn't sure you wanted your hand up.
Yeah, I just thought I put my hand up. Okay, paragraph 8. Once the professional therapist has realized that minds are joined, he can also recognize that order of difficulty and healing is meaningless. Yet well before he reaches this in time, he can go towards it. Many holy instants can be his along the way. A goal makes the end of a journey, not the beginning. And as each goal is reached, another can be dimly seen ahead. Most professional therapists are still at the very start of the beginning stage of the first journey. Even those who have begun to understand what they must do may still oppose the setting out. Yet all the laws of healing can be theirs in just an instant. The journey is not long except in dreams. So this reminds me of, pretty sure it was Ken Wapnick who said that the only distance is there's no distance between us. It's only between the right mind and the wrong mind. You know, there's no separation. So all we have to do is change our mind. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Len. You know what I'm saying, I think, but I forget how he worded it. But the journey is in our mind. It's from the wrong mind to the right mind. And you know, once the therapist realized that minds are joined, then he recognizes that there's no order of difficulty in healing, because there's only one problem. The one problem is there was only one problem, the thought that we might be separate. But once the therapist realized that minds are joined and we're not separate, that we have the same interest, we're both here to heal our mind. You know, it's together that we heal. And once the therapist realized that, many holy instants can be his along the way. And the holy instant, I'm going to read my favorite paragraph of the holy instant, which is in chapter 15. And I think that's so perfect for right now, for what this is saying. So the holy instant is the Holy Spirit's most useful learning device for teaching you love's meaning, for its purpose is to suspend judgment entirely. That's in chapter 15, section 5. So in that holy instant, there's no past, there's no future, there's only right now. So I can't judge you from the past. I'm not worrying about the future, because there is no future. It's only right here, right now. And that's where all healing occurs. Thanks.
That was well shared, love.
Yeah, that was beautiful, beautifully said. And yeah, I think for me, what I see a lot, and of course, me being obviously, you know, I must be doing it myself if I'm seeing other people doing it, is that a lot of teachers think that they're the teacher and are not. Um, I don't think they feel like they're there to learn from the other people, from the students. You know, I don't think a lot of therapists think that they're there to be healed by their patients. And I think that is probably the biggest hurdle that you have to go through, is coming to realize that I'm here for me. I'm here for my healing, because I'm the one who I know that I have any kind of control over, whatever. I'm not here for you, or to tell you anything you don't know, or to teach you something you can't figure out on your own, or um, tell you how to live or what to think. I'm not here for any of those things. I'm here for me. I want you to tell me. I want to hear what you have to say, because that's that's the only way that you can actually come to realize that the order of difficulty in healing is meaningless, is when you recognize that you are both the therapist and the patient, and that what you do, we do together, so that both of us, and so uh where it says many holy instants can be his along the way, that absolutely is there only because, you know, I'm willing to uh to I'm almost trying to say the word revere, or to worship the holiness in you, you know, to actually worship the holiness in you. That's really what brings about that connection and that oneness, not me looking for the holiness in you, trying to figure out, oh, is there something holy here? Do you know something? Have you heard something? Have you got some kind of insight? You know, not looking for it that way, looking for it because I know it's there, and it has nothing to do with anything you ever learned or said or thought or heard from anywhere. It just is inherent in you. And that's what I'm connecting with, is the holiness that you are. And the Christ that is what you really are. Um, And I think that's where the only way that healing can come about. Uh, because the rest of it is just a story. Anyway, any other thoughts that anyone might want to share? All right. Oh, Karen, go ahead.
I
You're
just, I'm sorry, being on my phone, I'm sorry. I just noticed, in the very last couple of sentences when he says, yet all the laws of healing can be theirs in just an instant. But then he says, the journey is not long except in dreams. So it's kind of what you just said, Lynn, like, it's like, so it's only because if I'm not healing in this instant, I am, and it's also what Rafi said too about, I think it's, I forget his exact wording, but it's basically that people are resistant to healing. It's that resistant to see things differently because they're resistant, they don't want to let go of their story. You know what I mean? It's like, I like my story, you know? Who would I be without my story? Who would I be without my ego, right? So I think I just noticed that the journey is not long except in dreams. So if I'm going to keep dreaming this dream and keep thinking that um, I don't want to wake up, I like it too much, then it's going to take longer in time. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly it. It's all what do I really want? And it's so funny. All right, let's see. Let's look at paragraph 9. Who would like to read paragraph number 9? Who else do we have left here who haven't read? I guess I haven't read. Did I read one? No. I will. Okay. Paragraph 9. The professional therapist has one advantage that can save enormous time if it is properly used. He has chosen a road in which there is a great temptation to misuse his role. This enables him to pass by many obstacles to peace quite quickly if he escapes the temptation to assume a function that has not been given him. To understand there is no order of difficulty in healing, he must also recognize the equality of himself and the patient. There is no halfway point in this. That's what I was just saying. Yeah. Either they are equal or not. The attempts of therapists to compromise in this respect are strange indeed. Some utilize the relationship merely to collect bodies to worship at their shrine, and this they regard as healing. Many patients, too, consider this strange procedure as salvation. Yet at each meeting, there is one who says, "My brother, choose again." So, yeah, so let's look at that. So the professional therapist can save enormous time. How? By by not misusing his role and not and moving past the obstacles to peace. Not misusing his role and moving past the obstacles to peace. Um, if he escapes, it can be done quite quickly. If he escapes the temptation to assume a function that has not been given him. And that's what I was talking about. There's people out there and you know them and you see them all the time. You just go on YouTube or, I probably get 15 emails a day from people who are telling me, I know what you need and I know how to get it for you. And all you need to do is, pay, $700 for my seminar and, we'll get you straightened up real quick. And you come back after $700 and you have not had a single holy instant with any of the with this teacher that has promised you or offered you this kind of gift. And I mean, there's hundreds of them out there. They're everywhere, and not just religious people. I mean, people that are coaches, people that, they have a plan, a diet plan for you, or they think they think they know what you need, and they don't think you know what they need. There's not a give and take relationship with it. And if there's not an equal give and take relationship in any teaching learning situation, then healing cannot occur. Healing can only occur again when we recognize the equality of ourselves and our students, when we recognize the equality of ourselves and the people that we surround ourselves with, recognize the equality. There's no halfway point in this, Jesus says. Either they are equal or not. That's why we do what we do here. Either we're equal or we're not. And if there's any one person, self-accepted, who's always talking, but any one person who thinks that they know more than anybody else in this group, then I'm sad to inform you that that's not true. It's impossible. It's impossible, because we've been here put together because we are equals. And the only thing we need to do is learn to see the equality in each other. And that's why no matter how a person, I don't care how a person acts, reacts, what they teach, what they say, I'm listening to them, because Jesus says your brother is always right. And you have to just listen to them and know that they are not, they can be trusted. So and so I love this. And even if you do get yourself into that situation where you're being expected to worship at somebody's shrine, the one who is always there, who says, "My brother, choose again." The Holy Christ is always there no matter what. So, you can let that teacher off the hook too. Let yourself off the hook and let the teacher off the hook. There's been a mistake here. That's all. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Lynn. You're right. And, if we don't have the same interests and we don't see each other as equal, healing cannot occur. And that's what he said about Jesus in the Course. He said that, Jesus said, he said, forgive me, forgive me, because, we we thought he was special, and we thought he was different. And, because that's how I know, I'm going to speak for myself. I thought he was special and I thought he was different because that's the way I was raised. And he said, forgive me your illusions and release me. From what I have not done, I didn't, and because the way we were raised, that he was the only Son of God. And it was, the Course pretty much teaches us that we can't see we can't love Jesus equally if we don't feel equal to him. How can we, if we feel he's different? And that makes sense. And that goes for every brother. How can I love you if I see that you're worse than me or better than me? If I don't see that we're the same, we have the same interests, how can I love you? How can I love my brother if I judge him, is what it comes down to. I can't love you if I judge you. The judgment gets in the way of love. And Jesus tells us throughout the Course that I'm your equal. We are the same. And he repeats it several times in several different ways. And I just love that about this Course, because there's no pedestal here. And that's the same way for everyone, every teacher. Every teacher of God is the same. No one is more special than another. No Course teacher is more special than another. I don't care how much they charge an hour. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean he's more, he's smarter, better, or knows more, because we all have the same knowledge. It depends on how we want to use it and if we're willing to use it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Karen. That was beautifully said. And yeah, just it's so simple. No, that's what a gift. Anybody else have anything on this paragraph? Pretty straightforward. All right, so we're on paragraph number 10. Who would like to read paragraph number 10?
I'll take it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. That was really wonderful sharing. Paragraph 10. Do not forget that any form of specialness must be defended and will be. Yeah, I saw this incredible quote on specialness from Ken Wapnick. It says, specialness is anything that you think you need. I mean, that's, if you think you need something, it's obviously you're making it into something special. Of course, the Son of God doesn't need anything in a world of dreams. Exactly, the defenseless therapist has the strength of God with him, but the defensive therapist has lost sight of the source of his salvation. Wow. So, yeah, the defenseless always reminds us of that wonderful lesson 153, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. And of course, the opposite is 135, 136. If I defend, I attack. And 136 simply says, defensiveness is an attack against the truth. So it's always about what I'm doing to myself. That's the secret of salvation. Nobody's doing anything to me except myself. You can either love yourself and see your brother as yourself, or you think you have to do something, and of course only the ego thinks he has to do. There's no doing in being the love of God. He does not see and he does not hear. And that's the defensive has closed down, lives in the dark, can't see, can't hear. That's why open-mindedness is the last of the 10 characteristics. Finally, rise above the conflict. The conflict is in my mind, but I'm not the mind of the dreamer. I'm the dreamer who dreamed the dream. So you can start to smile and laugh and know that nothing in this world really does mean anything. How then can he teach? Because it's the will of God that he takes his place in the plan for salvation. Yes, we all come here to take our place among the teachers. Tells you that in 154, I am among the ministers of God. So that's why I'm here, because it's the will of God that his patient be helped to join with him there. Because it's the will of God that his patient be helped to join with him there. So we're all coming home. That is for sure. I mean, it says this is a required course. Only the time you take it is up to you. You could take it now, next lifetime, 1,000 years from now, it doesn't matter. Everybody takes it. It's a required course. Because his inability to see and hear does not limit the Holy Spirit in any way, except in time. Yeah. So, we play the time game. Oh, yeah, I'm not there yet. Actually, I'm not there yet. It's really nothing to do with anything other than the belief that there's a future. And he tells you, there is no such thing as a future. There's only now. Let's see. That's why you got to laugh now. I mean, really. No, I'll laugh later. You got to laugh because his inability to see and hear does not limit the Holy Spirit in any way, except in time. In time, there can be a great lag. Oh my God. Between the offering and the acceptance of him. Oh, yeah. Uh, next year, next chapter, next whatever. It's always next. Actually, there is no such thing as next. Next, that next is a make believe word. There's no such thing as next. This is the veil across the face of Christ, yet it can be but an illusion because time does not exist. And the will of God has always been exactly as it is. Yeah, we never left home. You got to laugh, really, truly. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Dove. Yeah, and it's like whether we accept it or not, or want to do it or not, it doesn't matter because we're doing it.
Laugh.
Yeah, we're doing it anyway. Um, we're just gonna take a little time because we're not doing it wholeheartedly or willingly. But God doesn't care if our willingness is not there. We're still doing it. Um, and so I love that. Uh, anyway, anybody else have anything to say about this? Yeah, Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dov. That was great. I love everything you said, and I love the way you shared it too. So what comes to me is when Dov picked up on lesson 153 in let's see, sentence 2. I think it's sentence 2. Yeah, he says the defenseless therapist has the strength of God with him, but the defensive therapist has lost sight of the source of his salvation. So that defenseless therapist has the strength of God because he's able to see the sameness in his brother. He's able to see that the instant that he forgets to judge the patient, he knows that healing occurs. He knows that. But the defensive therapist already thinks he knows what the problem is, and he has lost sight of the source, of the one true source. And it reminds me of in lesson 153, he says that defenselessness is strength. It testifies to the recognition of the Christ in you. So that's the defenselessness is the Christ in us, is the truth in us. And then defensiveness is weakness. It proclaims you have denied the Christ and come to fear his Father's anger. So we're in this fearful place where we think that God's a punishing God, and we're defensive because that's, I guess, why the Course says the world was made as an attack on God. We still think that God's attacking us and judging us, so we're going to attack back. But this is so, I think, important because the defenseless therapist is the one who's open-minded and really just has that strength of God in him, that he sees the truth. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. As Karen was speaking, it reminded me, we were watching that thing on the justice of heaven from the justice of God that we did. I think it was the first one we did or a second one. And what came up is the idea that, well, I can, I can say that I'm not ready yet, but it was it was the other Karen. It wasn't this Karen who said, "Yeah, but I do it out of fear." It was Karen G. Said, "I do it out of fear." So our defensiveness is really coming from fear. That is where it's coming from. And fear is that you're trusting in yourself, which is why I mentioned, take a look at lesson 47 and 48. 47 very clearly says, God is the strength in which I trust. And if you read it, it's so funny. If you're not familiar with 47, you got to read it. In fact, I don't know if you want to maybe read it
I'll
tonight.
put it up.
Yeah, he starts off says,
It's great.
"No, go ahead, Len. Do you want to put it up now?"
Yeah, I'm gonna go get it and put it up.
He says, "If you're trusting in yourself, you have a lot to fear, baby."
Let's see.
And notice the next lesson is 48. And what does 48 say? There's nothing to fear. This is a fact. And then it says, well, it's not a fact if you're still believing in illusions.
Okay, so lesson 47. Does somebody want to read this?
I will.
Okay, great.
All right. Lesson 47. God is the strength in which I trust. If you're trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, fearful. What can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good could come of it? What is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution and the guarantee that it will be accomplished? So he's saying, listen, of course you're afraid because you think that you're doing it. Who are you to do anything? You're not the doer. Are there any thoughts or comments on that?
It cracks me up just like you're laughing because he's like, well, what makes you think that you know anything about anything? How do you think you should be in control of stuff when you don't even know the slightest thing? And it reminds me of, God talking to Job when Job was questioning, why did all this stuff happen to me? And God's like, hey, were you there when I made the stars? You don't know anything about this stuff. You don't need to question it. But he was being kind of harsh, I think. But yeah, that is exactly it. Um, uh, how would we know what to do in any situation? Uh, these are very good questions, and I love because Jesus asks questions. He doesn't just tell you this and that. He asks questions, and then we have to come up with the answer. And that's I think that's so clever. Anyway, continue on if you want to, or anybody else want to share anything.
Does someone want to take paragraph 2?
Yeah, I'll take it. Of course, you can do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Hello. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? I mean, as long as I identify with this body, mind concept, this personality, I think there is a personality, then the first thing that ego comes is I'm a victim. I have to defend myself. Okay, how much strength have I got to do this? Where's it going to come from? You're waltzing with something that's completely wrong and what's the word? And reinforcing it. You're reinforcing a non-truth, and you're going to be. And it says it right there: fear, anxiety, depression, anger, sorrow. I got to do this. I got to do that. I need that, and I got to protect I want you to like me, but I got to protect myself from you at the same time. And we're going to be I. What the heck is that I? There is no that I. But we so believe in it that we think we got to have to take care of business. I got to handle this. I got to handle that. I gotta. And it's like, I don't remember who said it, but the concept, and it's only a concept, that I am the body is the basis, is the source of all baseless fear. But as long as you believe it, hello.
Yeah.
Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe?
Yeah. What comes up for me is the thing that we're afraid of is losing control. See, the fear. People don't think of the word fear as something, but they don't want to lose control. I mean, that's really the purpose of inviting people to take their place among the teachers, is to begin to develop trust that it's not you doing the teaching, that it's your willingness to step back and let him lead the way. And that's how you develop trust. And it's the trust that's why trust is the bedrock of God's teachers. Until that happens, you can, I'm talking about honesty and generosity and tolerance and patience. I mean, that's ridiculous. You got to realize it's not you. And for me, the fastest way to realize that is to take your place among the teachers. That's what ACIM Gather is for. Otherwise, you're listening to someone else telling you. There is no one else. There's no one outside of you. But no, okay, I'm not there yet. But I'll get there yet. One day, I'll have enough control and I'll be there. Really? Yeah. It's not going to happen until you say, listen, I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here represent him who sent me. I don't have to know what to say or what to do, for he who sent me will direct me. You got to laugh. It's really that easy. It's that easy. Does anyone want to take paragraph 3?
I take it
Go ahead.
because it's speaking to me. God is my safety in every circumstance. His voice speaks for him in all situations and in every aspect of all situations, telling you exactly what to do to call upon his strength and his protection. There are no exceptions because God has no exceptions. And the voice which speaks for him thinks as he does. That's why I need to hear the voice of God all the time. And I like that one. The voice of God.
Thank you. Yeah.
So again, what you were talking about, it's about if I trust God fully and completely, there's no need for me to worry about anything.
Yeah,
But that's what you guys have been telling me since I've known you. So I'm singing to the choir.
Yeah. And notice the order of the lesson. This is 47. I mentioned 48. 48 says there is nothing to fear. This is a fact, unless you still are invested in things like control. I don't hear Holy Spirit. How could I trust God? I don't even know if there's a God. Notice what lesson 49 is, by the way. Lesson 49. God speaks to me all through the day. I'm just not listening. Imagine that. Lesson 49. God speaks to me all through the day, and I'm not listening. Can you imagine that?
It's hard to think I'm not, you think I'm listening, and yet how often do we do or think something and and you're maybe you're I don't even know. You're going to do something and then you stop and think, oh, maybe I should do this other thing, but I really feel like I should do this thing, but I'm going to go to do this other thing instead because it makes more sense. And then you go and do the other thing and it turns out the wrong way. And you realize if I would have done it the first way, I would have, it would have been okay. It would have been successful. And you got to ask yourself, why didn't I do what the first thing that came to my mind, the solution that was presented to me, why did I do that? And instead, I think I could do something better than that, and I go and do something else. And it happens to me all the time. I do it all the time. I think it's very common, because that's how the ego works, is that you can be presented with a perfectly sensible solution to a situation, and then just some little niche in you just says, well, it could be better. It could be, maybe, this could be cheaper. You're going to go buy something and something you really want and really need. You say to yourself, oh, I bet I could find this cheaper somewhere else. When in your mind, you're being told, buy it now. Just buy it now. And then you say, no, I think I'm going to go because I think I have a better idea. And then you go at the other place and they don't have it. Or you go to the other place and it costs more. Or you go to the other place and they say, oh, it's at our other store and you got to go someplace else. The whole time you're kicking yourself saying, I should have done that when I had the chance. I should have done it the first time when I was being given the prompt to do it. Well, who was telling you, go ahead and do this now? And who are you arguing with when you decide you're going to go find a better deal somewhere? I mean, that's a simple example, but you see, if you start watching yourself do it, and how many times in my lifetime do I say, I could just kick myself for having done that or for not having done this? Why didn't I buy that IBM stock when it was so cheap? You know? Because I thought I need the money. I'm gonna have to save it because, I'm gonna need it later for something else. And it turns out that it would have been a much better deal for me. But anyway, I didn't really have any thought about buying stock. But anyway, Rico, please go ahead.
I'm not buying stock right now either. But you bring up a good situation. What I'm trying to do is what I've been practicing is when I get in those situations when I can to stop and ask. I mean, as long as I'm not on the freeway going 90 miles an hour, I mean, and there's nothing earth shaking, nobody's going to get any harm. I try to stop myself and go sit down and ask and then wait. Even if nothing comes, it's proved to be just a good habit just to go do that for me as I'm in my developmental stages for me. I just stop and ask. I come and sit down, ask, entertain the stillness and the silence, and see if something comes. I have nothing to lose by asking, but it's proved to be a good practice for me to start doing that. Hopefully, it'll be become second nature and become a good habit. But for right now, I try to catch myself. Why don't you go ask? And I come and ask the Holy Spirit. Sometimes I've gotten answers, sometimes I have not. But the fact that I stopped to ask just seems to put me in a better place.
Absolutely. And me too. It puts you in a much better place because then you recognize that I'm really not in charge. So that's, for me, that's what's really helped me is just recognizing that as this lesson tells you, I don't know anything. I don't know how anything works, why anything is the way it is. And, why not just step back and let someone who knows and just even take a breath, because it will, the solution will come to you. I mean, that's happened to me many, many times, trying to run this silly system. Oh my gosh. Rafi, please go ahead, and then Dove is next.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is what comes to me constantly. You can't want and have control at the same time. Okay, pick one. Would you rather have control or want control? Well, if you want control, guess what? You're saying I don't have control. And the more you want it, the less you have. If you let go of wanting control, then that infinite, divine, all loving, constant power, all loving, constant support is always there. It doesn't come and go. That is always there, and it guides us every step of the way. But as long as you're focused on, I want to control this, I want to control you don't have it, and you're completely divorcing yourself from that infinite, superior, loving, constant power that is constant, and it's constant support. It never goes away. All you got to do is get yourself out of the way so it can take over. And which is, kind of what Lynn just said. Maybe I'm just saying it in different words, but there's nowhere that infinite self, that infinite beingness, that infinite power is not there. If you focus away from it, all you're doing is causing yourself a lot of misery.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rafi. Dove, please go ahead.
I was thinking, as long as you're on a roll, started with 47, then we looked at 48. There's nothing to fear. That's a fact. Went to 49. God speaks to me all through the day. It's not that I'm afraid that God doesn't talk to me. No, 49. God speaks to me all through the day. And then what do we think lesson 50 says? And many people, especially the people over at Endeavor, look at the first 50 lessons as the entire course. And what does 50 say? I am sustained by the love of God, which means that everything that I need is given to me. But if I think that I need control so I can look good, get this and get that, I'm in control, right? No. Well, why does Venus de Milo have no arms? She's a symbol of love. Love doesn't have to reach out and get anything. Everything is given to love. So it kind of reminds me of the Mick Jagger song. You don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. I mean, how is it possible you always get what you need? Because you are sustained by the love of God. Can you imagine that? You gotta laugh. On over to you, Regis. Thank you.
And thank you, Dove. Good evening, everyone. Hope you can hear me. Just tapping into Rico. I just love that. Really spoke to me. Stop and act. And we just have to remember to do that. And that really was a good signal for me. I started saying, I think last year, if I'm mad, I've been had. And or if I'm upset, whatever we may call it, mad, anger, upset, sad, depressed, whatever, fear. As Rico was just saying that, it taps me back into, remembering that I want to see this differently. Above all else, I want to see if I'm in any of these disempowering emotions, I can stop and ask, because as the lesson says, God is always speaking. Sometimes we slip into an idea or a spiritual ego that some kind of way God is playing cat and mouse or hiding from us or withdrawing from us because of some behavior we have judged ourselves as wrong in. But his voice and his guidance is always there. All we have to do is tune into it. He doesn't withhold. He doesn't forsake us. He doesn't punish us. So it's never that God has left us or God is avoiding us or God is disappointed with us. But we can just simply tune in. We can just stop and ask. If I'm experiencing rage and upset or sadness, depression, rejection, feeling alienated or whatever, I've been had, and all I have to do is offer that willingness to see things differently, because I know by virtue of the fact that I'm experiencing these ideas or beliefs that I couldn't possibly be hearing from God, no matter how strong the voice inside of me is, nor how much I think I know. It takes, I just got the humility from Rico. It takes such a tremendous amount of humility to basically say, well, I think I know, but I probably don't know. You know, I think I'm right, but I might be wrong, you know, versus to just say, oh, cause I feel this, cause I see this, and I hear this, I must be right. But to see, to hear, to feel, to smell, and still be able to say, you know, maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know what this is. You know, even though I've seen this computer laptop before, I see it every day. But you know what? If it's upsetting me today, you know, if it's stalling, if it's logging me out, if my sound is not working, you know, I can simply say, I'm willing to see this different. What is this? I thought it was my laptop. I thought it was my friend. but, but I can, and it takes a lot of humility to say that, you know, cause we been raised to trust our emotions, our feelings. You know, what do you think? How do you feel? Well, I feel like this. You know, we've been raised to make that knowledge, to make that truth. And so to be able to step back and say, I don't know what anything is for. I'm willing to ask. You know, I'm not just willing to. I think it's funny that we can say a lot of stuff and still not ask. You know, we can make a lot of quotes and we can talk about all of these truths and then we don't ask. You know, and I think sometimes we don't ask because our ego wants to still be right. You know, well, if I ask, I may realize that I was wrong. So I'll say all this stuff and I still won't ask. But I don't know, just the way that Rico said it, it just really tuned me up a whole lot. It just showed just the humility of we have to be able to not think so highly of what we think we know in order to be able to just ask. It's so simple. Enrico made it sound so simple. I hope it continues to be this simple, Rico, after the day. Thanks.
It will
Thank
be, my friend. It will be as simple as you allow it to be.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love us. I love this. I love this group. I love this family. I'm just so grateful to be with y'all and have this beautiful relationship. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the share. We pretty much finished that last section on the psychotherapy, and we're ready to go on to the next one. So uh, I appreciate everybody being here this evening, and I'm just again so grateful for y'all. So good night, everybody.
By the way, I want to thank you for that picture that you sent, the one with wolves and the Dalai Lama. I put it up on TikTok.
Uh-huh.
I got triple the number of views that I've ever gotten. Normally I get 700. I got 2,300, and that's in less than 6 or 7 hours.
Wow.
I mean, everybody loves it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it too.
Yeah.
And I'm almost like, it is almost like Marianne is running.
Yeah.
There's someone in there that's got a spiritually attuned right mind. I love it. So,
Yeah.
Cece says hi. She says
hi,
good night.
sweetie.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, Lynn. Can you see you? Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry.